Well, hi there. Welcome to this Google Digital Garage session on social media strategy. We are delighted to be delivering this session today as part of Screwfix Live. We welcome all the guests that they've invited to join the Google Digital Garage training, and we hope that this lunchtime series has been helping you to help your business grow and thrive online. Can't believe that we're on Friday already and we're at our final lunchtime learning session here today. So thank you for joining us. And as I say, thank you to Screwfix and Screwfix Live for hosting us. So my name's Christine. I am one of the trainers here on Google's free skills training program, the Google Digital Garage. Little bit about me. Well, I'm a marketeer by trade. I have been doing marketing since before there was digital marketing, and doing digital marketing before social media was a thing. So I've kind of picked up a lot of marketing as we've gone along over the last 15 years. I've also been one of the Google Digital Garage trainers since 2015. And alongside me today, I also have another of our experienced Google Digital Garage coaches, and that's Emma. So Emma's our moderator today. If you are watching this session on YouTube, so I know we're broadcasting out on the screwfix.com, but if you do click through and find us on YouTube, then you're going to be able to ask any questions as we go through. And there you'll be able to meet and interact with our wonderful Google Digital Garage coach, Emma. So you can, as I say, if you can watch us on the YouTube channel, you can actually interact and ask us some questions there. If you do turn up there, you'll need to sign in to a YouTube account to ask the questions, and you'll know that it's Emma because it's got Emma's name, and she also has a little blue spanner next to her name, and that's where you'll know that you're speaking to our moderator. Any trouble viewing the webinar today? My suggestion is you just try refreshing your page. That normally gets things back up and running. It's a little bit like technical advice of turn it off and turn it back on again. If you want to join in the instant chat, you do need that YouTube account, as we say. And also, it'd be really helpful if you use the hashtag SFLiveGDG, and that way Emma will be able to find your question easily in that chat box. Okay, what else are you going to need to know about us? Well, I'm going to pause through the session, so when you are asking those questions, there's very little Emma can't answer, so Emma will be answering questions as we go through. But if there are any questions that she feels need either a longer answer, she's limited only by her 200 characters, is our Emma. So if there's anything that she thinks needs a bit of a longer answer, or that will be great for the whole group to hear, then she's going to send those questions over to me. I'll pause throughout the session and we will take a look at the answers to them. So just so you know, this Google Digital Garage virtual training is actually part of our broader range of courses. So if you want to check out our schedule of upcoming webinar training, then you can visit our website. Emma will pop the link to the Google Digital Garage webinars into the chat. And you can visit our website. You can sign up to study with the Google Digital Garage. You can attend more webinars such as this one. And you can also sign up and do our Fundamentals of Digital Marketing, which is a certified course. You can also rewatch this session today and the sessions from the rest of the week. You can rewatch those at screwfix.com. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's all we need to know for right now. So let's take a look at social media strategy. So what we're going to look at today, break our sessions. Those of you who've joined us all week, I wonder if we've got anyone who's joined us for every session. That would be great to know. But we break our sessions down into 3 separate sections, and we can take questions at the end of each of those. Today we're going to look at how you could use social media to help grow a business. Lots of talk about social media at the moment. It's all about finding out where your customers are already hanging out and working out how best to interact with them where they already are. So we'll look at how social media can help. We'll then take a look at the strategy side. What do you need to pull together in order to build that social media strategy? And then we're going to take a look at some of the tools that are available, and I'll give you some of those best practices, some top tips for getting up and running on social media and making it successful for you. All right. But first of all, let's just take a look at how social media can actually help grow a business. I'm guessing we've got lots of smaller local businesses joining us today. And, you know, it really is one of the the key tools that, as I say, you can use to go and find your customers wherever they happen to be. And it's important because your customers live on social media. Think about humans. That's who you're trying to reach. Think about human behaviour. In the UK, and now, I will say actually that these statistics were taken before the lockdown period and before COVID-19 was a thing. And what we haven't got all the research through yet. That'll come later. But anecdotally, we are seeing that, usage of social media, usage of the internet, people getting online for the first time, people spending more of their time on social media, on the internet, has grown over the last 6 months in the kinds of situations that we've been experiencing. So 44 million active social media users in the UK out of 60 odd million people. And the average daily use of social media on any device is just shy of 2 hours. And people, when we used to do this in a room with actual people, some people would look horrified at that idea that 2 hours of people's lives is on social media. And other people would be looking at me going, only 2 hours? Are you kidding me, Christine? So think about it. When we're talking about social media, we're talking about Facebook, we're talking about Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, all those more younger ones. But we're also talking about YouTube. So YouTube and Facebook are by far the most popular platforms among UK adults. 85% of UK adults use YouTube, about just shy of 80% using Facebook. So they're the most popular platforms, although the smaller platforms, there's some ones that have a lot of time on there as well. So when you think about adding all those time together, that's when people can quite easily get to 2 hours. And as I say, I have a feeling that over the last 6 months, when we rerun these numbers, once this is all over and done with, that those numbers will have only headed upwards as well. Okay, but what's really key is whether that statistic, whether that average of 2 hours give you the heebie-jeebies or you think it's a bit too little. What's really important to think about is that actually it's human behaviour, it's what your customers are doing. So whether you like it personally or not, it's a fantastic opportunity for us as smaller, more local businesses. So how can you use social media for your business? If you want to start up some social media, or if you want to persuade other people, maybe you need to persuade your bosses, your managers, your owners that it's a great thing to do. These are the kinds of things that for real businesses, for real small businesses, are great to help them. So you can reach new audiences, you can generate new sales, you can connect with your audiences locally and globally. And it's a great place to tell your story, to connect with those customers, to find new opportunities. Some of my favourite uses of social media are when people actually use it to listen. So people listen in and identify needs that real people have that they have a great solution for. So there's times when people go, I wish I could do this. And they go, I've got the real thingamajig that can help with that. And sometimes they found new uses for products. They found new ways to talk about their business in the language that their customer understands. You can absolutely use social media and use the data available to identify the people who are most likely to buy from you. And then you can target specific customers, specific groups of customers, specific types of customers with specific offers. It's really customizable, and it's a great place to, as I say, be sociable on social networks. So you can build relationships, you can be strengthening the relationships that you have with your customer base. You can build that loyalty, all of which activity together will help you, or can help you, to generate those all-important sales. Get people knowing who you are so that they can then decide that you're the great person to help them with whatever it is that your business does. In terms of adding value to your brand, your company, your brand, the story you've got to tell can be told and explained really well on social media. So you can use social media to help your brand out by being more responsive to customers. If customers are hanging out on social media, then you can be there too, and be there when they have any issues, when they ask any questions, when they want to know things. Simple things like your opening hours, or the best uses for a particular product. You can start those two-way conversations. You can learn about the customers. You can show a new side to your business. I think there again, whenever I'm working with smaller local businesses, I really want them to emphasise how human they are, what their story is. You can tell your story as a small business and show that new side. One of my absolute favourite small businesses that I've worked with over the last 12 months was basically a farm that had diversified into a bit of a tourist attraction. So they had a farm shop, and they had you could get a map from the shop and go on a walk around a trail around the property, and they had various bits and bobs. They'd started making their own honey and things. And the fantastic thing about them was how they were a collection of local people. And they told the stories of those people behind the brand. And the best they found by looking at it when they're on social media, the best, most engaging content that they had was from their head chef. And their head chef, quiet guy, but became a little bit of an internet star for them. Because whenever they posted his how-to videos, how to make these fantastic recipes that they served in the cafe, it didn't stop people coming in because they could make it at home. It made him into a bit of a local celebrity, and people would come to see him and see the recipes in action done properly when they tried to, this is how it, this is what you could have won, sort of thing. So this idea of being able to showcase who you are, and I think especially now in the times we're living through, people are really wanting to connect back with their communities, and being able to tell those stories, tell those local stories, and show who you are and why in your own community is really, really helpful. And social media can be a key tool to be doing that. When it comes down to nuts and bolts, though, you might have spotted social posts coming up in a Google search. Because social media changes so often, it's updated every second of every day. Some thousands of people posting all at once. Because of that, without going into too much detail, those of you who joined us for Monday's session on getting started, getting your business visible on Google, will remember maybe the video that one of the things that a search engine likes is a site that's updated. Now, social media sites are updated all the time. So they're actually crawled all the time by the search engines. So having posts on social media can actually get you noticed on search. Those tweets or LinkedIn posts and things can get you right up to the top of those search engines without having to build your own website. So it's another great place to be using those words, using those customer details, and thinking about who that audience is. You can then use the traction that you gain when you're posting on social media, whether it's being found on search or being found in people's feeds, to bring people to your website. If that's where you're doing the information gathering or the lead booking or the online sales, then you can use social media as a channel to drive people through to there. And you can really learn about your customers. The more we know about our audience, the more tailored we can be. So you can be learning there. And you can also keep an eye on your competitors. Now, competitors are giving away their information publicly. But really be thinking about, I think I've probably mentioned this on some of our sessions already this week, but my key thing is when you're looking at competitors, don't just think about Fred, who does the same job and lives 5 streets up from you. Think about all the people who serve the customer, the same audience as you do. What are the best people in your industry doing across the country? Can you follow those? Get some tips for how they're reaching that audience. Are there other people who reach the same audience? So maybe it's people who are in associated trades with you. If you're an electrician, what are the plumbers doing? What are the project management tools? Who are doing the great work wherever in the country they are to reach the same kind of customer as you? And that's when you're looking at your competitive research. Don't just restrict it to the fellow up the street who's doing the exact same job, but really open your mind and open the learning that you do to see what's going on, what's going well, what seems to work well with the kind of customers that you want to reach. So the best way, I think, to get started with a lot of marketing really is to ask yourself questions. And you can use these questions to help you hone in on the right work to be doing. You can use them to go out and look for data sources to help you. So the kinds of questions like, are my posts on social media driving people to my website? If I check my web analytics, I'll be able to see how many people came to my website from various different social media. And then I can do fun things like, okay, well, if I change something, if I post at a certain day at a certain time, do I get a little bump? Can I see those numbers coming through? A really engaging post, am I following it through? Is it turning into action? And you can watch that journey all the way through. To do that, you're going to need Google Analytics on your website or another analytics package. We have a whole hour-long session on using data, so you might want to join us on our usual Google Digital Garage webinars to check out our Get Started with Analytics session. You can look at the data on the social media platforms, which we also cover in that session, to see if you have any influential followers. Who's liking you? Who's sharing your information? It's a great thing on Facebook where you can get top fan status. And you can see who your top fans are and how you're going to engage with them. You might ask them questions, give them extra love and care because they are interacting with you and being your advocates. You can look at the data and see what kind of updates should I post. And you can have a fun with it. You can try different things and see what works. Test something, try it, do more of what works and do less of what doesn't. You can also check out when the best times to engage with your audience are. If you post two similar posts at different times of day, different times of the week, what's going on, what's going to happen? Because the more you know about your audience, the more you know about what works and what doesn't, then the more targeted you can be with the activity that you're doing. It's really keen to remember, though, that attention spans are short. So right for the goldfish. People have a few seconds. With social media, I always think that you basically have the time it takes the thumb to scroll from the bottom to the top of the screen as it goes through a feed before you've lost some to grab somebody's attention. And when you've scrolled off the top of the page, you've gone. So you've got to fight for attention because there's a lot of competition out there. Bear in mind that even if you don't pay for a click or pay for an action, it's not always free. There's your time and resources that go into creating these campaigns, and you've got to balance how much time you have to spend to get the notice that you're trying to build, and at what point is it worth boosting that with paid ads, paid social media in terms of getting a much bigger reach for your postings. And do bear in mind, once it's public, it's public. Golden rule, which I would like everybody to take away with them: don't drink and tweet. Kids, make sure that you are not posting in a rage, not posting when you're tired and grumpy and things are all on top of you. I think the best thing to do is, if you can, schedule your post. So you post something, go away, come back and read it again, check it for spelling, check it for grammar, have somebody else check it for those things, because it's really difficult to proof your own writing. Because once something's public, it's public. We've all seen those what to an audience are fun. It's interesting to see when other people have come a cropper against it. But for us as businesses, we want to make sure that we avoid any kind of PR disaster. We don't want the wrong kind of publicity. Okay. So, just take a little pause there. I can see that Emma's just telling me we've got no questions coming up so far. That's not a big surprise. I don't think it's not a particularly technical session that we've just been through, but do remember that if you want to join us over on YouTube and watch this session, you can be asking those questions as we go. Alrighty. So what I'll do is first I'll take a sip of my tea, then we'll take a look at how to go about building a social media strategy. Okay, so you could just decide, right, I'm going to do social media and I'm going to start posting some stuff. I would like it if we're a little bit more of a plan to it, a little bit more thinking goes behind it. So let's take a look at how you go about pulling together a social media strategy. First thing I will say is that your social media strategy should absolutely sit within your wider business strategy. I don't want you to just be doing some social media stuff because Christine from the Google Digital Garage said you had to. I really want you to be making sure you're tying your social media into getting real business results. So our 5-step plan now for you. So I'll go through each of these 5 steps into a little bit more detail, but we'll start by looking at the audience. Who are you trying to reach? Where are they? What's of interest to them? What do we know about them? And you'll have seen, those of you who have joined us for these sessions, that we talk about audience a lot because for me, the key to marketing is knowing about the people. The tools and the techniques and the channels and the plans come later. It's all about humans trying to interact with other humans, trying to tell the story of our business, trying to be as useful and as timely as possible into that person's life. So we'll look at the audience. We'll take a look at what you want to achieve as a business. As I say, really key that we know what a business wants to achieve and which of those realistically social media can help with. Then we'll take a bit more of a look at some of the different social platforms out there. We will see different this horses for courses, different social platforms work for different reasons. Then we'll talk about tone of voice. How are you going to come across on social media? What's your brand? How are you going to embody that brand? Who do you want to be? Who do you want to be known as? And we'll also define what success looks like for you, because honestly, unless you know what you need to achieve and you're measuring towards it, then you're just doing activity. You're just doing stuff. To make it a proper strategy, have a proper plan, you need to be measuring it and learning. And then, as I say, we have this as a line. For ease of the session and for ease of explaining, we've made it a straight line. A social media strategy is very rarely a straight line. It might form a circle where once you've measured your success, you come back and you go round it again because you've learnt some more things. It may well be a weird ziggity-zaggedy, jump back 2 steps, come forward 3. Because it's all about learning as you go. And every time you learn something new about your audience, you return to the plan and think, oh, okay, well, what does that tell us about what we need to do for the rest of the stages, for example? But let's take a look at step 1 then. So audience. Who are the human beings you're trying to reach? If you could only have, if you had to sum up your audience into 1, 2 or 3 people, who would those people be? What would they look like? What are they into? Why would they choose a business like yours? So you can do a lot of work around defining your audience. I love building audience personas. In our session that we run as a webinar called Writing for Social Media, we go really in depth into how to go about building up a social media persona or an audience persona that you can use with social media. But it's all about defining that audience, who they are, what they like, what they're into, who influences them, where do they get their information? Do you know how old they are? Are they male or female? Where do they live? You may well have a business that's fairly well, tightly geographically controlled. As I say, we talk about reaching people globally. It may well be that for you need to reach people very locally. So you can spend some time, when are they usually online? Do you know, when in the year they're going to be online looking for a service like yours? Those who remember right back at the beginning of the week we spoke about, one was plumbers near me, and there's peak in searching for plumbers at different times of the year. So what's going on in their lives? So spend some time and, as I say, pulling those personas together. So, and every time you learn something new about them, I like to keep them on pieces of paper. And if I have a workspace, I'd put them up on the walls, actually. I'd probably put them behind my computer, because every time I write something for the internet, write something for social media, I'm going to think, is this going to meet the aims and objectives of those people, my social media audience? So it's really key to find out as much as you can about them, and really key about what social media platforms they use for different purposes. You don't have to do this all in your own head. So what's a great task to do is to actually, just as we said with search, talk to people, ask people what they are. So in terms of understanding people's needs, ask them what the needs are. You can run polls on social media if you meet people face to face, from a distance, obviously. But you can ask people. You can learn things about people. And as I say, every time you learn something new, take it back and add it into what you know, and see what you can learn about their real needs, their real interests. Once you've, you might think you have one audience. A number of times I say to a company, first time I work with a company, it'll be, right, okay, who's your audience? Who do you want to sell to? We can sell to everybody. We've got a product that works for everybody. Even the world's biggest brands don't sell to everybody. And just because everybody could use your product, you want to be identifying those groups and segments who are most likely to buy those and most likely to want to buy from you. There are people, for instance, for smaller local businesses, there are people who love buying from smaller businesses. So can you identify them? Can you talk to those people? And it's a great way, we've mentioned it already, but a great way to find out more about your audience is to do simple online surveys. Keep the number of questions low, because every time you ask somebody for a piece of information, you run the risk they're going to go, nah, and hit back. So if you are going to do online surveys, keep them concise. Maybe ask a question at a time, spread out over your social media channels. It's difficult to get to some of this data, but there are ways to do it. So you may well have data out there already, okay? As I say, we speak a lot about the data that's out there in general on the web in our Get Started with Analytics webinar, which is a whole hour going into the data in a really user-friendly way. It's not about being scary and nerdy. It's really about focused on businesses. How can they get to the key pieces of information? So you might want to check out the platforms you've got. If you have any social media platforms, for a business page point of view, it's likely that you'll already have some analytics available, some insights available, some data available. So check out what already exists. So for instance, here we have a snapshot from, this is from a Google, it's like a web analytics platform. So you can see here, we've got this, you can't see because it's titchy tiny on your screen, but basically this shows the age of the people visiting this particular site, and this shows the split male-female by gender. Okay, that's on a website. This is taken the same sort of information, but portrayed in a different way, because this is the information on age and gender from a Facebook page report. Okay, a couple of examples. So it's showing, the spread of people visiting that site, so you can learn about the demographics. I find this one really fascinating. So here, this is, I think, from Twitter, and it's about people engaging with every day, who's engaging with their posts. So the lines are things like, are they replying, are they engaging, are they retweeting, have they favorited it, that sort of thing. Now this shows to me a very, very clear cycle pattern going on. Okay. And it seems to me, without being able to see it with my magnifying glasses on, it looks like we've got 2 days when it's low, and then 5 days where it goes up. 2 days when it's low, 5 days when it goes up a bit, 2 days when it's low. Now it'd be really interesting if I were looking at this, I'd be thinking, okay, is it that my audience are a weekday audience, that they're there 9 to 5 because it's a business to business kind of thing? They're only thinking about business Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 o'clock, Saturday and Sunday. I'm guessing that's the 2 days in between. I would check that out. Or is it that we're only posting during our work hours, which are Monday to Friday, 9 to 5? And we might not be posting on a Saturday or Sunday because that suits us as a business to work that way. But what's going on in the customers' lives? I would find it really interesting to map on top of that when we're actually posting things. Because it may be that we are losing engagement 2 days every single week. We're losing 2/7 of the engagement we could have because we're not there at weekends for them. So it's thinking about that, thinking in the whole about what's going on in the lives of the customer when you're doing it and getting those insights. Is it that they're only coming to you over a weekend, or is it that we're only giving them content on a weekday? So the more we can understand about our customers, the more we can make our offerings relevant to them, and the more targeted we can be with what we say and do. So the next step in building our plan is to really think about what we need to achieve as a business. Okay? And there are certain business goals lend themselves better to social goals than others. But it's all about translating your business goals into social ones. So, for example, customer service. If you have a goal that you want to maintain customer relationships, you want to have long ongoing customer relationships, then defining a goal where you deliver better customer service is a fantastic way, something that you could use social media to do. If people are right at the beginning of that sales journey, that customer journey, and they don't know who you are, then you might decide, okay, I need more people to know who I am, so I need to grow my brand awareness. There again, social media could be a fantastic way to do that. People might already know about you, they might be engaging with you, but you want to kick that on and actually grow more sales, find more customers, get more business through the door. And you can do that with social media, but you'll do it in a different way to when you're just maybe trying to get people aware of who you are. So it's really about defining those goals. Do you want to just drive more people to your website? Because once you've got people on your website, you know that you can turn them into customers. You can get them to pick up the phone and call you for a lead, or fill out your form that you've got there to get their information so you can get that back to them. So what is it that you need to achieve as a business? And in doing so, how are you going to use social media to help you do it? It might be that you want to connect with influential people in the area, connect with influential people in the industry, connect with those super customers who are those engaged followers who are going to help spread the word about who you are, those brand advocates. Okay? So our top tip for this part is to choose one social media goal. So there are tons of social media goals you could set. If you try and do all those things straight away, then you're going to find it very difficult, one, to keep up with all the activity you're going to have to be doing, but also to see which things you're doing are actually affecting which work stream. So my suggestion is that you choose one of them. You set one goal that's going to help you get used to working with social media if you're not used to working with it already, or that's going to help you achieve the most for your business. And don't worry, it's not set in stone. That you test something, try it, do more of what works and do less of what doesn't. You can use this 4Ds framework with it. So you, first of all, when you're setting your goal, discover what the goal is. Work out in your discovery, what's the goal and how are you going, how's it going to help your business? Make sure we're tightly pulling back to what that business needs. You can define it more. So identify any barriers, exactly, why would it be great, but what might get in your way? Then you're going to develop it out and basically put the meat around the bones of it. What are you going to need to achieve that goal? Are you going to need new images? Are you going to need some customer testimonials? Are you going to need to create the social platform? Are you going to need to make sure you've got the tools in place to measure it? And then you deliver it. So you go about and you plan the activity and you get going, and making sure that any of those barriers you defined, you work out how you're going to go and mitigate them. Okay. So first piece of homework for you, it is to take one social media goal and work out how you're going to go about delivering it. Okay. So as I say, discover what the goal is, define any barriers, develop, put flesh on the bones, make it real, and then deliver it. And then measure it back and check, were your assumptions right? Are you getting what you thought you would? Are the barriers the same barriers that you thought they were going to be? Okay. So So now we're going to take a look at some of the channels. And channels are the ways you go to market, the different routes you can take to talk to that audience. And it's really important. The very first step of getting on social media is actually to choose which platform you're going to use. And you have to choose really carefully. Because, and it says it down here, different channels need different strategies. People are on different channels for different reasons. So you might find, obviously the job I do, I have to have a good idea of all the social media platforms. But I have regularly in use Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Okay? I also have accounts on other platforms, but those are the ones I probably use day in, day out. But I wouldn't expect to connect with a business contact to buy industrial widgets on Facebook. I wouldn't expect to read a research piece on my Instagram. I'd want to see the business contact on LinkedIn, and I'd expect to see maybe the research piece on something like Twitter. Okay, so different, even though the same person, the same individual might be on different channels, you've got to think not just about the person, but what focus they have when they're on that platform, what expectation they have of the information they're going to see. I don't want to be researching for work when I'm doing my downtime, okay? And it's really important that we do this idea of starting with one, test it, learn from it, do more of what works and do less of what doesn't. So it's all about measuring it as we go, okay? So I mentioned a few channels. We'll take a look at some of the most popular channels. First up, we're going to look at Twitter. Twitter is fantastic for conversation. Twitter is great for, it's really interesting actually. It's great for words. It's great, it's searchable, there's lots of news. People go to Twitter to find the news before they would necessarily go to a media outlet. Great for finding out about what's going on in the world and connecting from a PR point of view. But actually, and whereas originally we would have said it was a very a verbal, almost a written word communication, tweets are a certain number of characters, you still need to write for the person who's scrolling through the feed. So actually imagery is a lot more important on Twitter than it maybe was a couple of years ago. Okay, so don't forget the images when you're working on Twitter. But what Twitter's great for is making those connections. So being professional, looking at your profile right, your header image right, and the @name, your handle right. You can get noticed and join those conversations by using the hashtags. Really, I find it interesting. I'm a big nerd, but hashtags are actually, they're not needed technically by the system anymore. They used to be needed where we said, hashtag, this is what's important. And then you could find out. Even if you don't use hashtags, if you are writing genuinely, using those search engine optimization tips that we spoke about on Monday, using the words, you will still be found. But by using the hashtags and being relevant, you can get yourself boosted up in those. You can run polls, you can ask questions, you can get an engaged audience using the polls, questions. And it's about being sociable then. Do a lot of engaging, asking of questions yourself, but responding to other people, joining in the community, engaging with the content, retweeting other people's that are going to be useful to the same customer base as you have. And you can use one pinned tweet at the top of your profile which sets out who you are or the current thing you're working about. A lot of businesses right now are using a pinned tweet at the top to say what they're doing in response to the COVID-19 situation. We'll then have Facebook. Facebook and having a business page on Facebook is about, if you have especially a business that wants to connect with a consumer audience, fantastic place to be. As we said, I think it was coming up for 80% of the UK population is on Facebook. You can link Facebook and all of the channels, you can link them through to your main website. One of my favourite things about Facebook's a bit like a shop window, lots of lovely visuals. They really like video content on Facebook. But one of the most exciting from a technical point of view is you can change what this button says. That's your call to action. And I think every time you post anything on social media, if there's a reason for doing it, it's best to tell the customer what you want them to do. That's your call to action. Press here, buy now, download, sign up, whatever it is. You can actually change what that button says. when you're using Facebook, which I just think is a great idea. People know, I need to sign up. I'll press here, go to website, I'll visit us, I'll click here. So, as I say, video plays really well on Facebook as well at the moment. People are consuming their video through their social media. Instagram, not the new kid on the block anymore. It's a great place. There again, very, very visual, beautiful imagery with captions with them, which you can use to put those search engine optimized terms in. Again, people will search on social media. Hashtags there again. Go easy on the hashtags. People ask what's the right number of hashtags to use. There's very, very rarely a set in stone right or wrong answer, but only use relevant hashtags. I spent quite a lot of time with my hairdresser. We always talk about social media, and I looked at one of his posts, and he was posting beautiful images of hair. He's got that whole imagery thing right down, but then he was just copying and pasting the same hashtags onto every post. So he was using hashtag ladies hair, hashtag gents hair, because they do both in the salon. But I was like, if somebody's following hashtag gents hair, why would they want to see that picture of a beautiful ombre lady's haircut? It's not relevant. So only use the hashtags that are relevant to what you're posting. So you don't need to put in tons and tons and tons. And use it to learn, use it to follow, and be generous with your time. If you're going to be on social, be sociable. Share things that inspire you. Share things that will be of use to those customers. You can also use the stories. So I would expect to see here on the actual home pages of a brand, I'd want to see there in that feed, I'd want to see that on that page, beautiful images that are all consistent and beautifully created. If I click up here and view their story, those pictures are only going to stay around for 24 hours. So you can use that to be a bit more spontaneous, to tell the story of your day, go behind the scenes, give out that extra little spicy content, that's going to show what's going on. But it doesn't have to be beautifully formed because it's going to be gone in 24 hours. Okay, so you can be creative with how you showcase things. And then if you're trying to get to a business audience, so maybe you sell to other businesses, maybe you want to catch people when they're at work and for something that's going to be, then LinkedIn's a great tool. It's also great for recruitment. So bear in mind when you're online, you're trying to, if you're want new employees, you're selling your business to those employees. So you can create a personal page. You can also create your company as a page. And then if you create your company as a page, encourage your employees to show that they work there and become those advocates for you. You can use all those great words that you used in your search engine optimization, in your posts and in your profile headings. I'm finding right at the minute an awful lot of longevity to engagement within LinkedIn. So whereas maybe Instagram and Twitter, everything disappears quite quickly, LinkedIn's things seem to be staying quite buoyant at the moment. So if it is a business to business or reaching into a network that you're trying to do, it may well be a great thing to do. Worked with a business who wanted to use social media, and they were a firm of locksmiths. And there were only a handful of big companies in a handful of places that could actually buy their products. And they actually knew the roles within those companies. There were different roles who were making the decisions, but there was the general manager, there was the facilities manager, there was the site manager, and there was the engineer, and all of those people. And they can identify those people by job role on LinkedIn. So it's a fantastic way to, if you have that more industrial or business to business type of connection going on, that's a great place to do it. And YouTube, so many forget that YouTube's actually a social network because we maybe only consume media on it, but it actually is a very social network. You can, it's the second biggest search engine in the world is YouTube. It's a fantastic platform to be discovered online. We do now run special sessions actually on building YouTube. If you're a brand on YouTube, building your brand on YouTube, which you can join from our webinar series as well. That's brand new, only been released in the last couple of weeks. It's a great place to show your thoughts, to show if there are any wonderful tips to using your products. The videos alongside, cat videos, the other kind of videos that play really, really well on YouTube are how-to videos. How to fix a block drain, And oh, when you've tried fixing the block drain and it hasn't worked, here's the number of the professionals to use. So you can, you can be useful in people's lives. And then when they do need that professional touch, they come and get you. You could showcase some of the beautiful work that you've done. If you've got permission and you've created a fantastic, maybe it's landscaping that you do, or tiling and the wonderful work that you've done, and you can showcase the products that you've used, and you can showcase, that you can get all those products from Screwfix, and then you can show how you pull it all together. And then when people get the inspiration that they want something like that, and they don't really want to do it themselves, they know that they can call you, and they've seen the beautiful results that you've done. And you can make simple videos. The more you can be useful to your audience, that's what really key. You can make simple videos and have a go in 20 minutes. The best thing to do is check out YouTube creators, the YouTube Creator Studio. That's where real YouTube creators teach other people how to use YouTube. Is a really great place to start. So then you need to think about your social voice, or then we suggest you think about your social voice. And this is, if your brand was a person, how would it speak? Are you going to be super, super, super formal? Or are you going to be a bit more relaxed? Are you going to show that more playful, more humorous side of you? Match it into what you're doing. I wouldn't expect, for instance, the funeral directors to be posting Friday funnies. But from almost every other business, you can showcase you as humans, especially as a local business. As a smaller business, I want to see the personalities coming through, because people buy from people. So how are you going to, I would set up yourself some guidelines so you don't have to think about it each time. What words are you going to use? Where's your logo going to be placed? Are you always going to use a specific font? The more consistent you can be, is the more people will understand that it's you when they see you. You want to be recognisable. So I would come up with a list of things you're going to do and things you're not going to do, and have those there again alongside on the wall next to where you sit, alongside your customer personas. Because bear in mind, the tone of voice, you're speaking as a person to those customers that you've identified, those audience members that you've identified. So how do you guys interact with each other? It's great if you can come up with an image bank where these are the kinds of images we like. When we take an image, we make sure it's taken in this particular way, in this kind of area. And there's handy tools you can use, such as Canva, which are going to help you quickly create a fairly polished product. Doesn't replace having a graphic designer in a house, but if you don't have that, there are tools out there that can help you do it. So are you going to be friendly? Are you going to be fun? Are you going to be serious? Are you going to be formal or casual? You don't have to have one tone of voice, but you're best off setting principles to stick to, and then adjusting the tone for the different content, or maybe even for the different platform. You might not behave the same way on LinkedIn as you do on something like your Instagram. Okay? And this is just one of our absolute favourite case studies, the This Girl Can campaign, which has been amazing at empowering women to try sport, and has also been great at changing attitudes. And one of the best things about the This Girl Can tone of voice was very much, it was that whole bad hair don't care idea. The best part about it was it created shareable content. So sportswomen could take their own images and add the brand assets and make their own This Girl Can posters that they could then share about on their socials themselves. So it's a fantastic idea. It wasn't grassroots, I think it was Sport England, but it absolutely, became very much a movement, and it's still ongoing. I was invited actually to the launch for this quarter's piece last month. So next, I want you to think about success. How will you know when you've won? Try not to get distracted by getting loads of likes, for example, because if I want to get likes, my goal, the thing I'm measuring, will change my behaviour. If I want loads of likes, I'll post a ton of cat videos. If that's not going to help me sell industrial widgets, then I've not achieved what I need to achieve. So really think about, what do you need to succeed, and go right back to those business goals that you had at the beginning. Why am I doing this? Okay, I want to grow my sales. Right, well, how can I measure which portion of sales are coming through from my social media? I want to improve my customer services. Am I going to have a feedback form when I ask people, when they give me a star rating? Am I going to look at my Google reviews and see if I can get more positive reviews on those platforms? Is it going to be, if it's an increase in brand awareness, I need to put in a measurement, use a system so I know what my brand awareness, how many mentions I was getting, that sort of thing is before I start, so I can measure it at various points. What success for you means might change over time. And also you want to be measuring to make sure that you can change things up if you need to. And unfortunately, it's not always free. So organic reach can take you so far, but you're very, at some point, with most social media platforms, you're going to hit the place where you're doing lots of good work, but actually to take you on to the next stage, you're going to have to look at paying for, across any platform really, but especially if you've got that direct idea that I want to generate sales. Okay, well, how many sales am I going to generate? How much budget can I put into this to doing so? So it works really well if you want to sell, if you want to make sales, if you want to make growth. If your objective is to generate leads and you know that you can convert a certain number of leads at a certain price point, then that's when it is worth looking at paying. We cover actually social media marketing and paying, how to go about doing it, in our Get Started with Digital Advertising session. So that might be a good one to use. If you want to know how to go about doing it, check out that session. So just as a quick recap for you, it's all about looking at 5 stages. You've got your audience, who the people are, and really laser focusing in on those people, what's going to work for them. Don't worry about getting global likes or becoming a worldwide influencer if there are 50 people in the local town who are the people who are absolutely going to matter to you. Look at your business goals. How do you support your business goals with the social media activity? What's the best platform to use? Start with one, test it, try it. Do more of what works, do less of what doesn't. How are you going to speak to people? What's your tone of voice? How are you going to use your brand? How are you going to use your logo? And how will we know when we've succeeded? Okay, right. Just going to pop in and check in with Emma. How things are going right now. So we've no questions coming through at the moment. As I say, it's your last chance now. We've got the last 10 minutes or so of our Screwfix live week. The sessions will be continue for the rest of the day, but we're only here with this lunchtime learning session for the next 10 minutes or so. So do get those questions in if you are on the YouTube channel using the hashtag SFLiveGDG. Otherwise, let's carry on and have just a little bit of a look at some of the tools you can use and some of our top tips. Okay. In terms of posting on social media, I always say that the hardest thing about social media is thinking up what to say. Okay? Especially you might have lots of great ideas for what you're going to say for the next few weeks when you're all enthused about doing it. But how are you going to keep that up over the next 6 months, over the next couple of years, as, life takes over? Hopefully you'll be enthused after attending Screwfix Live today. But, next week, you're going to get back into the swing of your real lives. So how can you make sure that you keep thinking about content? One of the things is to have it as one of your regular tasks to do. So every time you complete a job, can you grab a couple of photos? Can you show the work behind the scenes? In terms of, I like to have a kind of grid, basically. So it's a calendar. And then across the top, down the side, I'll put the date, or the week maybe. And across the top, I'll put different types of content that we can produce. So you might have announcements to make, new things coming up, new products available, you've signed a new deal and you're going to show a different line, showcase a different type of product. That non-promotional ideas, those behind the scenes insights, are you going to do? You might have somebody who works with you, who's been in the business longer than anybody, who is a real old character, who knows their stuff, maybe an artisan producer, whatever it is. Get them to record their top tips. Go around the team. What do the team, who are they? What have they got going for them? So go behind the scenes. Show those real people behind those local businesses. Show what you're doing behind the scenes. Could be what you're doing to keep everybody safe during the current situation. Then you might have some product or brand related. So your top tips. How are you going to demonstrate? You could have a fantastic, if you're a tiling company, you could have a tile off between you and another local company, or between two of your top tilers in your company. who can tile the fastest, who can, lay the quickest wall, whatever it is that you've got, you can create some fun content around those things. Then we'll respond. Where should we go? Yeah, so recurring content. We might have seasonal sales. There's a list of companies that I follow that I know that around the end of last month, beginning of the next month, I'm going to get some content that's all around sales. It's like, we know it's payday. We know your payday is going to be around here. We're going to hit you with offers to try and get you to spend your money before you've spent it all on other people's shoes. So what can you do that's recurring? What's going on at different points? You might have job openings, some operational things. So that might be something that you want to post. You can really amplify your reach I have found my last real job I found on social media, and I have a trustee role, and I found that on social media too. So people are looking, if they're following companies, people are looking for roles, especially right now. So it's a great place to find, if you're part of a network of people who do the kind of work you do, you might be able to find new employees in there. And then there's responding as well. So engaging with customers, engaging with influencers, answering those questions, joining those conversations. So take a few minutes and list the kinds of content that you might have on your chart. And can you come up with ways, as I say, if you are in the kind of business where you're making anything, that's fantastic, because every time you make something, you can put it into your plan that you grab a photo of it every time you finish a job. Or let's do stages of the job. Let's go the befores, the durings and the afters, and tell those stories. Are you going to tell them with video? Are you going to tell them in a blog? Are you going to be taking the photos and making the memes? Another great one I love is when people take that image and put the customer quote on it and make their own memes doing that. And something like Canva's a great tool for that. Think back to that This Girl Can when I was saying about, they got their users sharing their images out. It's a great way to amplify your reach if you can make your content shareable across. It's called user-generated content. So what's going on in this one is a beautiful delivery that somebody's had from a small business. I love it when small businesses say, I buy, a new frock, and it's come beautiful. I spend a lot of time buying from small businesses. It's kind of, a thing. And the parcel arrives in a beautiful package. It's then maybe wrapped in tissue paper, tied with a ribbon. There's a little card. I will absolutely take a photograph of that packaging, and that goes on my social media with them tagged in. I then might tag a photo of me wearing the outfit or hanging it up ready to go. So how can you generate those moments where people think, I want to share that? I mean, Coca-Cola did it when they put the names on the bottles. Starbucks do it with their seasonal cups and writing the names on the cups. But smaller businesses can do it as well by just elevating what they do. And coming into Christmas, if I had a product I was trying to sell, I'd be making sure it was beautifully wrapped so other people could see, hey, Christmas is going to be weird this year, but I don't have to do the wrapping when I'm sending products because I can get these wonderful small companies are adding those extra things in. So think about what you do that could be sharing. If you do a job for a customer, with their permission, ask if you can tag them in on it, and then they will share. You say, what a fantastic transformation, and they might share that out for you too. And then they might start sharing your other transformations that you do and increasing your reach among them and their friends, who might be the kind of people who would be your repeat customers. So when you're sharing that content, great graphics. So I've mentioned Canva already. There are other similar resources. They are easy and affordable to create quality social media graphics. They've got libraries of the right size of social media graphics. So a banner on Facebook is a different layout from an Instagram story. So using preset libraries that have the right sizes and shapes is going to help you get there quicker. It helps you to update your social media profiles. You might as well want to, sit down and spend a morning and create 10 customer testimonial memes that you then drop in once a week. Absolutely check your grammar. If you can, if it's only you, write a post, go away, do something else, and then come back and check it's spelt right. And don't try and tweak quickly with your thumbs. Don't make posts on the go, because all too often, and unfortunately, the way the internet is, people will, pick up on grammar before they read the content. And manage your social media accounts. It's difficult to keep up with continual posting. And as we saw on that, Monday to Friday engagement, you don't want to be posting when it's convenient to you if that's not when your audience are working. So think about coming up with maybe looking at a social media management tool. So something like a Hootsuite, which is basically you schedule when you're going to make your posts. You can also look at... you can pull in different data streams from different places. There are fantastic tools out there. As I say, Hootsuite's one of them. There's a ton of other social media managers that will help you schedule out your posts. Okay, so just as a quick recap, I would love it if the homework you took away was to set a goal, develop a strategy, define your tone of voice, which is specific to the audience, specific to the content you're creating, and then choose the right platforms to focus on. And that's how you're going to take these forward into your business. I'll have a quick check with questions. No questions coming up, which is probably a good thing because I have again run out of time. So your next steps, this is our final, quite emotional because this is our final Google Digital Garage session here at Screwfix Live. So we hope you've enjoyed those lunchtime learnings, but please do come back and learn online with us on the Google Digital Garage website. Lots to take away from today. We would love it if you could give us your feedback. I'll ask Emma to pop that into the chat, but the link that you need to go to is goo.gle/digital garage feedback, which is where you can go and find out that our certificate is there. And also there are the more that's not where that is. That's just the feedback so we improve our programs. If you go to our website, which is g.co/digital garage, then you'll be able to find all our webinars there. You'll be able to find our certified course there as well. If you're on your socials, would be amazing if you hashtag digital garage, because then we will come and see it and find it. Other than that, I want to thank everybody who's involved at Screwfix and at the Google Digital Garage at pulling this together. Thank you so much for joining us today for social media strategy and to joining us for the whole week. Thanks to Screwfix Live for having us. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend.